Um, Thanks again, and so just telling you a little bit about the history of AOAC, beginning in started in 1884, really is the Association of Official Agricultural Chemists, and his it really as a collaboration between government regulatory officials within the United States and industry, and later sort of kind of continued to build and multiple iterations of itself into what we've really become today, officially changing our legal name to AOAC International. And really what we have developed into is an organization that helps to foster collaboration amongst the scientific and regulatory community, along with industry, to be able to offer a consensus on methodology, and to be able to help to find consensus in standard setting for methodology. And so, jumping into a bit more depth, AOAC is really about taking what we can to leverage our unique relationships with various stakeholders throughout the world. Again, as I said, whether they be in the academic community, the scientific and regulatory community, whether they be within specific industry, but really trying to find and leverage those relationships in order to link those individuals together, and to be able to provide a forum with which they can discuss methodology and to arrive to consensus, with the general goal to be just to be able to provide methods that are specific and fit for purpose, that can be universally recognized and adopted throughout the world. A bit about some specifics about really where the organization is going under David's leadership, and over the last few years, really starting to try to crystallize what it is that AOAC is looking to do within the next 5 years, and as part of the strategic plan, is really kind of began with a process of really crystallizing the vision and mission of AOAC. And as you can see, it really does offer us a bit of a clear focus on exactly what the organization is designed to do. And that is, from a vision perspective, providing that global confidence and consensus-based analytical solutions for food safety, food integrity, and public health. And then really sort of then digging into how that is done through a variety of different strategic areas, with the mission being to ensure that safety and integrity of foods and other products that do impact the public health of a particular government or industry or academia, to bring together to develop those standards, methods, and technologies. And so doing so really, the first and foremost, the primary interest of AOAC is analytical excellence. That is the cornerstone with which we are founded, and certainly the most one of the most important things about our organization is that we want to ensure that we are upholding our reputation for bringing together individuals and providing the best possible analytical solutions for those emerging issues. But engagement of members and stakeholders is albeit, maybe certainly equally as important from an analytical excellence standpoint, because that is where the technology, that is where the methodology comes from. And so bringing in and leveraging those individual expertise to be able to draw upon the careers of individual experience is really critical to be able to ensure that we are adopting the best possible methods. Forming partnerships, which we'll talk a bit about here further in the presentation, then offering certain core programs that we believe are sort of fundamental to our mission, that allow us to be able to be able to proceed in the direction that we'd like to be. Sustaining our membership, obviously, as an organization, and then governing so that our organization continues to have the accountability that is necessary to the scientific community and to our membership. Many of the products and services some of you in the room may already be familiar with, and they're ones that sort of are what I would call our cornerstone products and services, the ones that are most widely associated with AOAC. When it comes to standards development, SMPRs, or standard method performance requirements, are a key part of what we do in when a method is sought to be able to solve a specific analytical problem within the scientific community. First, bringing together stakeholders to agree on what those performance requirements of that method should be, to ensure that we're taking into account individual food types or individual sample types throughout the world, individual regulatory concerns throughout the world, manufacturing best practices, things of this nature, and then eventually resulting in what will be, as methods are solicited, official methods of analysis, or OMA, which is that cornerstone brand that so many have associated with AOAC for so long. When it comes to governance, we generally do so through our board of directors, through our official methods board, which is really very, very central to all of the scientific management of the organization, our editorial board for publications, and our analytical solutions forum, which has really become a very, very interesting place to be able to bring hot topics and new concepts to fruition. Our membership is approximately 2,200 individual members, but we also have several organizational members. There are 18 AOAC sections around the world, hopefully 19 very soon. Analytical communities, and we do offer a series of awards and recognitions along with training and mentorship. And recently, many of our vendor partners have become very fundamental in offering scholarship awards that allow young scientists to travel and to attend our meetings. And that's been a very exciting time for AOAC. Within the laboratories area, we do offer a very well recognized proficiency program that is fully accredited. And then we do offer laboratory auditing as well to ISO guidelines. You're probably already familiar with the official methods of analysis within AOAC, but also the Journal of AOAC International and our Inside Laboratory Management magazine have become very, very well known and are widely read. In addition to in the last recent years, the Spectrum newsletter, which sort of is a nice way to break down into smaller bite-sized chunks what are the current activities within AOAC without waiting for such long periods of time. And then, of course, the Research Institute. And the Research Institute is really, I would say, a great workhorse of AOAC as it relates to, they take on things, validation of protocol development, and then they also take on what we call our performance tested method status, or PTM. And that is generally done when individual proprietary methods or test kits are seeking AOAC approval. And so that all is handled through the Research Institute, along with a new category of reviewed and recognized methods. So this is where a methods provider can submit data and then have it be reviewed by an expert review panel without necessarily conducting a third-party laboratory validation through the Research Institute. Many of our programs and working groups are currently active. SPIFAN and working with the infant formula and adult nutritionals, the food authenticity methods program, stakeholder program for agent detections. And so this is for specific chemical and biological threats. And then the gluten and food allergens methods program, as well as folic acid and dietary supplements. And so these are situations where specific instances within industry and regulatory have presented themselves, and AOAC has sought the participation of those stakeholders in these various areas, and many times those within the those within industry will fund these programs because they want to see good, well-recognized methods to assist them in compliance with regulatory in their part of the world. Tremendous amount of collaboration, especially in recent years, has gone on with various organizations, and you can see listed here a wide variety of organizations from ISO and the International Dairy Federation to the Food Safety Standards Authority of India, the Canadian Institute of Food Sciences, the Nordic Committee on Food Analysis, the African Organization for Standardization, and I know Aaron's going to have a lot to be able to share with us on that. The Institute for Advancement of Food and Nutritional Sciences, and then most recently, a memorandum of agreement taking place with Land O'Lakes Venture 37, and this is a fantastic program that is really built around food security in developing nations. So we're very excited to see that come to fruition. We're also engaged in review methods within Codex Alimentarius Commission and the AOAC Laboratory Accreditation Committee, offering guidance on interpreting of ISO 17025 guidelines. In addition, the AOAC is the U.S. Technical Advisory Group Administrator to ISO TC34 in food products. So lots of great collaboration there. I'm going to turn things over to our immediate past president, Aaron Crowley, to talk us through AOAC alignment and consensus with ARSO MOU in 2021. Aaron?
Great. Thank you, Tony. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thanks to all of you who are attending. Certainly wish we could be there in person, but in the meantime, while we talk about one of our favorite topics, which is our international engagement within AOAC, one of the cornerstone moments of the past year was our MOU signing with the African Standards Organization, where we really started to amplify our reputation in standards development activities and conformity assessment in a way that has proven to be very flexible and easily pivoted to meet the geographical needs of a particular section. So one of the reasons why we're here today is to talk to you about the example of that most recently is when we look at an MOU and how AOAC can support the analytical needs in a particular region. ARSO is a showcase of analytical needs here, as we see, of the highest priorities, of which we were just speaking about last week in Johannesburg at the Sub-Saharan Africa section meeting, where feed and fertilizer analysis, determination of heavy metals, specifically within cereals, meat, eggs, poultry, flours, meals, and bread. Cassava is a particular matrix where we really need to work on development of matrix extension of existing methods and new method development for heavy metals. Also, it's mycotoxin analysis, showcasing aflatoxin as a highest priority need, but also fumonisin and DON and vomitoxin and some other mycotoxin analyses that may be critical to the region, specifically within cassava, but other products. Instrumentation that is accessible and affordable is certainly an area where we are able to utilize the wonderful relationships that we have with our technology partners, both within the international section, but in the geographical regions where there's need. And that's everywhere from, rapid tests such as lateral flow devices, immunoassay devices that may be used as screening tools, but then also some of the more, sophisticated technologies that would involve, confirmatory analyses for aflatoxin or heavy metals. GMOs was an area of concern, as well as vet drug residues and microbial contaminants in meat, poultry, and eggs. So the reason why we highlight this here is this was an opportunity for us to provide a really good concrete example of why AOAC is the chosen partner in terms of looking to develop consensus-based standards for specific industry segments and analytical needs. We already have some technology providers working hard to develop methods or extend existing methods for mycotoxin. We saw some of the initial data last week in sub-Saharan Africa, but we continue to work together as a conduit for the technology providers, the regulatory authorities, and the contract laboratories and end users to find the solutions to meet the standards and reduce the barriers to trade. Tony, did you want me to continue on, or you want to continue to talk about harmonization?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can certainly jump on. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't that you had a chance to finish.
No, I love to talk about harmonization. It's one of my favorite things.
I do know this.
It's my favorite, but go ahead. I'll let you.
No, please stay with us. Because Aaron, as chairman of the Official Methods Board, has really been central in assisting and making sure that a lot of these harmonizations took place. As you can imagine, the validation of methodologies. If AOAC is involved in the validation of a methodology that is not recognized by other validation bodies, it makes it very, very difficult for that particular method to be universally accepted. And so in aligning with finding where the standards are in individual methods, and then looking to find ways where there's overlap so that one official method approval can apply to multiple different standards bodies is really sort of the ideal in harmonization. As you can see, we always, as AOAC, tend to default to the more challenging study design in evaluating each of the standards and look for, like, for example, higher number of replicates, more challenging matrices, and then maintaining that statistical analysis and acceptance criteria for each of the certifying bodies. And then, so basically to provide some efficient data collection that satisfy a variety of different categories. Aaron, I know that this is an area that you spent some significant time through the Official Methods Board working on, and would there be anything that you would add there?
Yeah, I think this is just another example of when people, who are not familiar with AOAC may say, what exactly can AOAC do in the areas of method alignment and harmonization? In the areas of proprietary test kits, this is certainly a place where we've seen a great deal of success in method alignment. Sometimes when we say the word harmonization, it seems a bit too optimal, ideal, and we are very well aware of the regulatory restrictions that are certainly designated in certain geographical areas. But when we look at it through the level of certification, and the European Union in particular, with our partners in Microval and AFNOR and NordVal, this is a place where we understand these certification bodies have a business. And so in terms of maintaining that business, that is certainly there, and they're definitely independent entities. But in terms of identifying that these are all technically, very highly qualified, very well-respected certification bodies, the validation guidelines of which a particular test kit company may be looking to pursue certification through, has reciprocity. And so when you're looking at what that stamp of approval really means, is that you can have one full single lab validation and interlaboratory study for intention to become duly certified through AOAC and then another ISO certification body. But the other part of that is also looking at geographical differences in food commodities. And that is what all of these certification bodies have worked to really understand is what the kind of targeted matrices really mean in different countries and different regions. And this particular aligned program allows for a very easy extension process and pathway to certification without a lot of barriers due to multiple reference method comparisons.
And I certainly couldn't have said it that well, so I appreciate it, Erin. This right here is probably, David sort of alluded to, what different companies get as from a benefit from participating with AOAC. This very slide here really does capture my individual situation, my company at Neogen Corporation, as a test kit and methods provider. This harmonization provides tremendous value to us as being technology providers, to be able to offer validated methods that we know are going to be applicable and accepted in the various countries throughout the world where we are able to do business. And so this one is a very personal one for my business. Obviously, we mentioned some of our roots related to U.S. regulatory and government agencies, but we continue to maintain many of these relationships and have found a tremendous amount of value in being able to pull not only from the expertise but also guidance from stakeholders and interpretation of the regulatory situation in that particular agency, and everything from NIH when it comes to methods for dietary supplements, the US FDA and best practices for microbial methodology, and then the recognition of official methods of analysis, Department of Homeland Security related to the biothreat agents, and Department of Defense also with biothreat agents and the validation of those methodologies, and then working into the Department of Agriculture, laboratory auditing, in hemp, and also the Federal Grain Inspection Service within the U.S. Department of Agriculture for the validation of mycotoxin methods. There's reciprocity and recognition of AOAC there as well. Just a few examples here as we're winding down of ways where AOAC is really engaged in supportive methods for regulatory compliance. Really, it always starts with a particular need within an industry, to be able to find suitable methods to be able to comply with a particular regulatory situation. And then the process sort of runs from there. Various industry stakeholders then become involved. The appropriate regulatory agencies are engaged and the discussion begins. So you can see there's been a tremendous amount of methodology or methods that have gone through in the nutritional supplement space and infant formula space. 32 SMPRs, over 50 official methods, a very, very successful program. Food allergens, 3 SMPRs to date, but still continuing to do some great work. Most recently published some heavy metals methods, but continuing to build these in various but then continuing on through, as you can see, there's been some significant things that have sort of come up based on industry trends and particular tastes. Something like kombucha was an area that I was, that there was a tremendous amount of activity a few years ago within AOAC, and not something I would have necessarily initially predicted. But then very specific industry issues as well. Things like gluten in gluten-free oats is another example of that. But all of these sort of have the same sort of business plan where industry and regulators come together to really solve that problem and then fund the solution to find suitable methods. Currently, there's some really exciting projects in development as we wrap up, just to kind of give you a few examples of that. Working on programs in non-culturable foodborne pathogens, specifically viruses. Working on groups to address acrylamides. And in various some additional food matrices to fill those gaps. Working on a group for pyrrolizidine alkaloids, plant-based toxins and teas and herbal infusions. Working in the environmental space with the methodologies for PFAS, as well as the food safety and technology for initial priorities and food additives. So significant new initiatives here at AOAC, and ones that we're very excited about. Lastly, I'll just touch on some of the recent changes in our membership model that I think have been really designed to make AOAC more accessible to as many scientists as possible throughout the world, and really that process came through a significant amount of discussion with David and staff and the board to really say what are the barriers for membership, and how do we pull those barriers down so that we can have as many scientists as possible that want to be a part of AOAC and collaborate to be able to do so, because really that's where we leverage the most strength is by getting as much experience as possible in the room to discuss many of these methods problems, and by doing some of these things like lowering the individual membership dues, offering additional categories for organizational membership. It used to be you were an organizational member or you weren't. Now there's various levels of membership there as well for industry to be able to join. They're offering some developing country discounts for membership, and then making sure that people understand what are the benefits in some of the different categories, so that they understand exactly what it is that that particular level of membership can offer them, and they can find a program that best fits their needs. But then also, just as Aaron sort of touched on, and will continue to grow and develop as many opportunities as possible to offer access and participation in all of the different programs that we offer. Certainly, if the last 18 months has taught us anything, it's that collaboration remotely is certainly possible, and engagement is certainly can be productive. Like anything, I think sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. And with that, I will certainly thank you for your kind invitation to spend some time with you today. And I think we have a few moments if there are any questions.